What's up, Renegade Nation? Before we begin the video, I'd like to give a big shout out to our most recent Patreon supporters, Canadian Caesar, Blue Rat 138, and Luis Henriquez. Thank you very much for your support, and if you want to support us on Patreon, click the link below in the description to find out more. Thanks again. I'm gonna be honest, I don't 100% know this show.
I have no fucking idea what this is, never heard of it.
Jim and the Okay, I will go over what I remember from my childhood because my sister was a big fan of this show. She loved Jim and the Holograms. And what I remember is that it's about this girl who becomes a pop star whenever something makes her have pink hair and be, you know, look amazing and this and that. And that's basically all I got from it. I'm sort of lost when it comes to Jim and the Holograms, but I do know that a few years ago there was a movie that came out that was so god-awful, it got pulled from theaters fast. And by fast, I mean holy hell. Jesus. I think Uwe Boll films lasted longer in theaters than this film did. I think that actually, you know what? I'm not going to rail this film any more than it's probably already been railed and probably will be railed by the Nostalgia Critic, which this is his video that we're watching. It's his review of Jim and the Holograms, which I guarantee he's going to talk about the old show from the 80s and inform everybody as to what the hell happened in that and why the hell it merited to be made into a film 30 years later. I mean, jury's still out on that. I don't know. So, anyway, okay, for you, what's a kid's show that you remember way back when that you would like to see made into a movie?
Legends of the Hidden Temple to an extent, but at the same time,
they
not really because it's kind of a... It wouldn't really translate that well. Honestly, I don't think a kid's show from way back when would be anything I'd want to see made into a movie now. If they did, I would be like, Like, I mean, I liked it back then because I was a kid.
For me, Peter Pan and the Pirates.
I never watched that.
Dude, it's sort of like a Miyazaki film, except it's a TV series, and Captain Hook is voiced by Tim Curry.
Wait. I think I would probably watch a modern SWAT Cats movie, honestly.
Ooh. Dun, 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 dun.
I'm still down for Gargoyles as well, actually.
Oh,
it's not as much of a kid's show. It's more like a teen show.
I consider it a kid's show.
But
to me, Gargoyles is one of the most underrated TV series of all time and deserves a lot more love than what it's gotten. God, such a great show. And... yeah, I guess without further ado, let's see what Doug's got to say about Jim and the Holograms. I'm frightened. Let's go.
Critic, Critic's excitement. Ooh, Critic, he's flashy and things like that. Fashion, glitter, turning heads, and that's really about it. Critic, he's truly a critic. Critic's my name, as we clearly explain. Hey, and we're in this, Hey, and we're in this. I don't care, cause I'm all those trulies I mentioned before. Critic. Critic's my name. Did you get that part about me saying Critic's my name? Critic.
That was one of the cringier intros I've ever seen him do.
Motion picture that we're going to show to the world, yes. We're going to use our hologram computers to disguise who we really are.
Why?
I don't know, but we got to keep this life-changing technology a secret and only use it to sing songs and take down other competing bands.
Oh, like the Misfits or the Stingers?
No, and we'll do it while supporting my 12 foster kids.
12 foster kids?
I was very inspired by Brangelina. And if we have time, maybe,
Oh.
just maybe, we'll talk about movies.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Yeah! Slap that pointless music video credit below and let's get glittering!
Cut.
Critic, we told you you're not allowed to say cut because you're not directing this.
Yes, the chart made that quite clear. I just don't feel like this is what people are going to be looking for with a Nostalgia Critic theatrical release.
Yeah, this isn't really what the show is about.
trust me, we worked on the Gem movie.
Yes, and if there's anything we've figured out, it's that people want adaptations with 80s music, holograms, and truly outrageous adventures.
Are you sure that's not what they just wanted for a Gem movie?
I don't understand. Can you phrase your question in the form of a chart? I can't understand him through his accent.
Why don't we take a break for all of us to collect our thoughts?
Good idea. I'll calculate the probability of me relaxing. 0.
Does this feel right to you?
I don't know. I mean, the chart says... Thank you. I mean, this is what they think the mass audience wants. We should at least try it.
Have you seen the Gem movie?
Well, for the sake of this analogy to work, I'll say no.
Why don't you watch it first?
The original Gem and the Holograms was a slightly dated 80s cartoon. Just slightly. It centered around a singer who led a double life using technology from a supercomputer named Synergy to use holograms in her earrings to disguise herself. It was Gem, which is more than I can say for the movie. The film is quickly being regarded as one of the worst adaptations of all time. Not only did viewers freak when they saw that the trailer virtually had nothing to do with the original source material, but so few people saw it that it was pulled from theaters in literally 2 weeks. 2 weeks! That's faster than when we figured out Saddam Hussein might be a bad guy! It was ignored by the masses, panned by the critics, and despised by true fans of the original show. Is it worth all the hatred? Well, spike up your hair and ignore that little voice in your head saying, "This is wrong." This is Gem and the Holograms!
We're still here.
So you are.
Yep, see you later.
Jesus Christ, Doug.
Damn.
Let him in on the review.
Friends. You'll notice that this movie was made by BH Productions, known primarily for making horror films. That's so easy, I'm just gonna give you a pass on that joke movie. But you better have tougher material for me later. We open with performer and famed Sharknado star Aubrey Peoples, playing Jerica, who is making a video about how she became Gem.
My little sister Kimbrough. Now, you know how some people go online and overshare every tiny little detail of her life is just an open ebook for everyone to see.
Yeah. Tell me more about how your sister shares everything in this 2-hour video about how you became a star. You know what, movie? I'll let this one pass too. In fact, give me the first hit. You can have the first hit. It's okay. Great, now I have to be relentless on you. She lives with her Aunt Molly Ringwald. No, really, Molly Ringwald's in this. I'll give you 2 seconds to let out a little cry. Okay, who has 2 foster daughters, and, according to Jerica...
There's only one missing piece. My dad.
Because, like in all bad movies, dead mothers don't mean shit!
He would call me his diamond in the rough, or his gem.
Spelled with a J, he specifically said that every time. He's working on a device called Synergy. Yep, that's the supercomputer from the show. Don't blink or you'll confuse which one is which! And by the way, they never do say what he died of, but by looking at his incredibly deteriorating health, you know it just had to be broad shoulderitis. You know, the same that I'm sure took her mother that doesn't exist.
I still feel like he's with me.
You could have just said like a car accident or something like that.
Oh, by the way, that's not the title. They're just reminding you that you are watching Gem and the Holograms. You didn't wander into the wrong theater.
Now, I know what you're thinking. This many girls under one roof, recipe for disaster, right? Well, if you're thinking that, that's sexist, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah, they do non-sexist things like get in arguments about what clothes to wear.
But this isn't my favorite skirt. 5 minutes of being quiet. I'm trying to film.
It's almost like a 36-year-old man wrote this.
I don't want to look like a fashion refugee from 1985.
Let's just measure the frustration every pissed-off Gem fan must be having with, say, a really pissed-off Gem fan with her hair serving as a mood ring. Oh! Trust me, you're gonna see a lot of her. But it's okay, because they solve all their problems by humming in harmony. No, really, no matter what the issue is, that always seems to solve everything.
Kimber, hit a C note.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously, let's go.
I know that I messed up and I'm sorry.
I hate shit like this.
Critic, Tamara stabbed me in the eye with a pen.
Well, you shouldn't have taken the last Diet Coke.
That was my Diet Coke.
Mine!
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 Tamara! Hit a C note.
What are you talking about?
That was more than just a C
I'm definitely
bottle.
not following this.
should.
It's like a
probably
scale.
get
That's like a
Multiple
C
notes.
scale.
We have seconds.
Oh.
That's more like
That's
it.
not
Now
in
get your
harmony.
cold clothes on. We're having Kool-Aid tonight. So they decided to do a
Hopefully
music
spiked
video
with
just for
cyanide.
fun, and for some reason think they're in a found footage movie because they literally film everything they do. Okay, is this film's goal to make every previous generation hate this generation?
Apparently.
Truly? Outrageous.
Oh! But they all want Jerica to sing.
No, I feel uncomfortable.
Come on, Jay. I need you.
I think you need her the same way your scrambled eggs need more salt. Kind of, but can live without it. But things suddenly get forcibly serious when it looks like the house is going to be foreclosed on. I guess it looks like Molly Ringwald doesn't make the best money choices. I mean, she's in this film, isn't she?
30 days. Forgiving us. I mean, there has
Jesus
to be
Christ.
something we can do.
There is. We can be strong for each other.
If there's anything Three Stooges media has taught me is that entertainment always saves heartfelt buildings. So she decides to film a video, and I'm not even kidding. She does that thing where she films the intro like 1,000,000 times.
I'm gonna play you a song that I wrote, obviously.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there.
I need to cut this.
Oh, she's shy! The movies give you permission to be an egomaniac later because we know deep down you're really shy. And finally, she disguises herself in a wig and low lighting, calling herself Jen.
Maybe I'm alone out here and nobody's there.
Christ, am I the only one waiting for a monster to pop up any minute?
Maybe I'm the only one. My voice is
Jesus
That wasn't
Christ.
scary. Now that's scary.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in the dark, hiding. What if I'm wrong? No, you're not alone.
Will you shut up? We're trying to sleep! Jerica, of course, wants to delete the video, but her sister uploads it and literally goes viral overnight.
All the web
Bullshit.
is this video posted by an artist who only goes by Gem.
Somebody on acoustic guitar singing about how they're alone? I have never seen this online!
Right?
Even the head of a music label called Starlight is wanting to make her a star.
Jen, if you're out there, check your inbox.
How do they think this works? If I make a video of myself jerking off and then post it online, is someone gonna be like,
I want to make you famous.
oh, how they scoffed! But Jerica is sad that she has a huge money-making opportunity laid out for her. Oh, poor freaking baby.
I think you have the potential to become something so much greater.
The version of me that they want doesn't exist.
Again, I think that's what most of the fan base has been saying. But her aunt convinces her to talk to the agent, all while this entirely pointless YouTube video plays. What is the purpose of this? Are they preparing a punchline drumbeat when she says she wants to bring her sisters and the agent writes bye? Oh, wait, I take it back. She doesn't write bye, she writes poo. Sorry, I always mistype driver will pick everyone up in the AM with poo. Why are those two keys always together?
Morning.
So they're picked up by a driver/bodyguard.
My name is Zipper.
Oh! And since we got the feeling you didn't hate the movie enough yet, here's Juliette Lewis. Or is that someone in a Juliette Lewis mask? No, that's her. She plays Erica, the owner of Starlight Studios, who's supposed to hammer in the message that big artistic corporations are bad. A special thanks to this big artistic corporate film for telling us that.
Which reminds me, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, all of that, until further notice, none of it.
Oh, sorry, I just assume that's what happens when you tell a millennial that. Hard as it may seem to believe, this movie has a clothing montage. I know, I so rarely see them too. But Erica's gonna turn them into the Jonas Sisters. She has a lot of work ahead of her. But it's okay, because she has an intern/son named Rio, who's been hired to keep an eye on her.
Starlight Mansion, your room is upstairs.
Curtains. Wow.
No. What was that slow-mo curtain thing? You're in a mansion and you focus on them being amazed by the curtains? What's the matter with you?
Is anyone else so tired they can't even take their shoes off?
I'm so tired I can't even find my new ones on.
Yeah, it's hard having people do your makeup and try dresses on. What are you, 40? But something goes suck in the night as they hear a sound from Jerica's bag. Yeah,
really?
Thanks for the reminder. I was confusing it with all the other robots I saw in this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's how it communicates, through music.
The exact opposite of what Nickelback does.
Oh, wow, that's, yeah, I know, Nickelback, haha, bad band, that's still a fucking sick burn.
Yeah, that's funny.
God, that was good.
It's a map to Luke Skywalker, this sucker has everything! So, okay, screw the band, her dad has created life. Obviously, they can sell this thing and make more than enough money to save the house.
Maybe that's where your dad wants us to take Synergy next.
You're right.
Or go to the place your eye trash can showed you for a second. Well, this clearly makes no sense. How about another pointless YouTube video to have it make even less sense? Yeah, they still think there's a connection somehow to what's going on in the movie and just random videos found online. Were the makers of this film just like... So they steal Rio's car and brilliantly film it because it'll look so awesome in their court hearing. As we cut to a security camera showing them driving off. Okay, seriously, are you just ashamed that professional cameras filmed your movie? Did you see Blair Witch and we're like, no, we could have half-assed it a lot more? Get this, they go to the location and find another piece of the robot which gives them a clue to the location where the next piece is. So glad Dad spent all his time devising this Easter egg hunt instead of, I don't know, keeping their future financially secure. Hey Frank, look!
If they had possibly taken away everything else that has happened in this movie, started with the scene of the robot and the dad working on the robot, and just this wasn't trying to be like an adaptation of something, and just made this a movie where it's like, oh, girl's dad built robot before he died, and then she finds a clue leading to another piece of the robot. That could have been a sound foundation for a pretty interesting movie, actually.
Yeah, agreed. Like,
it's basically like Indiana Jones, but with like finding your passed away dad's robot pieces to figure out what he was trying to tell you about or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Apparently, yeah. And the truth is, her dad could have been someone who was being sued, and the family was having to pay out because he was being sued to someone, and that's why he developed this in secret and was hiding the pieces all over so that the kids could find it.
There's all kinds of stuff you could have done with that.
Yeah, exactly.
But it said you made this for some reason. I don't know.
Oh, it hurts.
Like, if I had seen a preview for this, I'm not gonna lie, like, not knowing what the original thing was, I still would have had absolutely zero fucking interest in it. I would have been like, this looks like something I wouldn't care the least about.
I told my sister that this movie existed. She freaked out and said, how come I didn't hear about it? To which I responded, maybe that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. To which she responded, you might be right. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, all right. So, anyway, back to it.
Phone. I'm gonna use it to cut vegetables.
My job to keep an eye on you, remember?
But Rio finds them, is surprisingly not turning them in. Grand Theft Auto is just girls having fun. But it looks like they might be busted because they're trespassing.
Jump.
We jump?
Come on, you gotta jump sometime.
Another phrase people say after watching this movie.
Oh.
Thank God the airtight perfection of a trash bag kept Synergy dry, because now
Right.
you can jam with everybody.
I was gonna say, there goes everybody's phones and the robot.
Synergy's proud with this role. Do you think he brings it up at family
I don't
get-togethers.
normally cringe, but this is legitimately cringy.
Eva.
So they get ready for their first big concert. Hey, hide Synergy, you don't want to make the money. And it just happens to be at the same place where the next clue is. Coinkity-doo.
First, posture makes perfect. Second, lean your weight on the back of your legs. Smile, but don't make faces. Paparazzi are not your friends.
Wouldn't you tell them all this a little before they're about to step out into the spotlight?
Right.
Oh, by the way, you're not singing, you're actually juggling chihuahuas. Hi! But unfortunately, the power goes off, spared no expense. But everyone gets out their phones and they just keep the party going because they love it so much. Yay! None of us will have batteries to call our parents for a ride home, but at least we can barely hear what you're singing over, everyone! After the show, they locate yet another clue and plug it into Synergy. Jerica, it's your father. If you're hearing this, I've been murdered. Don't trust your aunt! Doesn't seem to give him any answers, so Jem just spews out some random bullshit.
We each have a rhythm inside of us, our heartbeat, and it connects us all. So when the path you're on allows you to hear it for the first time, it's like the whole world suddenly falls into perfect harmony.
Oh my god! Oh, whoever wrote that needs a fucking lesson in how to do dialogue. Look.
I mean, you could tell that she was reading it just like in her voice that she thought it was the dumbest thing she had ever read too. And she's like, I can't fucking believe I'm having to read this shit right now.
The person who wrote this probably thought it was some poignant shit that they were trying to say for the first time. Here's the thing. People have said the exact same thing that you have said with that speech, but with less words, more articulation, and a modicum of sense. Bad writer.
Bad writer.
Bad! Jesus Christ, that hurt. That hurt to listen to. I mean, August Rush said it better. The music is all around you. All you have to do is listen. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with just saying that? Jesus.
No fucking idea.
Follow your heart, listen to your dreams, remember to brush your teeth. I have other daily quote emails. So everyone seems to be in love with Jem's amazingness. At least everyone who was still under contract with Universal at the time.
Jem and I dated for like 6 weeks. It was pretty serious.
I'm totally working it into the title of my next film, Jurassic Statutory. But it looks like there's bad news on the horizon.
That is
Jerica,
kind of true.
We just have till the end of this week.
Okay, I have a robot with consciousness. We will be shitting money if I can get it to the right people. For God's sake!
Solo contract?
Let me turn you into an icon.
Robot! You're really gonna sign with a person who is doing everything she can to convince you she is literally the devil?
Otherwise, you would leave me no choice but to replace you. It's exciting.
Oh, excuse me, those always pop up. So after signing it her legal name, I'm sure, she clearly goes to tell her sisters about it, right? Nope, she figures let it be a surprise. Surely nothing bad would come of it in the near future.
We were just talking about you.
Yeah, we know. We heard everything.
You signed a bullshit contract that completely screws you over? You really are an internet star!
I'm done.
They're of course pissed off that she tried to save her house. When of course they all should be pissed off they're not using that damn robot! Okay, dead horse. Nevertheless, she gets dressed up as Lady Haha and lets these background dancers do God knows what. We got our training by watching monkeys do interpretive dance. If you have a seat right in the middle of the theater, we look amazing. If not, we just look really awkward and confused. But we know you're used to watching that in this movie anyway. If not, call this number. Together we can heal.
The amount of tropes in this film and cliches in this film are astronomical. This is actually kind of sad as to what this film could have been. Hold on. Let's do a little bit of wiki research here. Yeah.
I don't even know if you can call it cliche because they aren't doing the cliches right.
Yeah,
It's like, what do you call a really badly done cliche? It's like some attempt at doing something cliche, but then you just fuck it up even worse.
Okay, they had $5 million to make this film. That's a relatively meager budget. I will give them that. Guarantee the majority of it went to the robot, which does not look bad. My God. I wonder how many careers this film has tanked.
I don't know. I feel like we should go ahead and get through this because this is getting hard to watch.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
Let's get this the fuck over with.
Agreed.
So Lane Runner partakes in all the classic rock star cliches. Throwing stuff off the desk, looking at herself in a cracked mirror, referencing bands better than her to make you think she's somewhat like them.
In July 1973, the Everly Brothers self-destructed in front of a sold-out crowd. It happens. Bands break up. But we were supposed to be different.
Yeah, that whole one show you girls did together really cemented your staying power. How are you supposed to be different? That's probably the fastest breakup ever recorded in human history. No matter, you're late to your biggest cliche, finding the old house you grew up in and sighing. Followed by the cliche that her sister Kimbrough is there at the exact same time. And her foster sisters. And Rio too. You know, while you're at it, why don't you just bring the dead father back to meet him there too? And how do they solve all this conflict that's come between them in literally one day? How else?
I fucking hate this.
Yep. This is literally so stupid that even the film calls itself out on it.
Okay, that was weird.
As well as lazy, contrived, and all around unpleasant.
Yes.
But come on, gang. We still have the mystery to solve. You see, they discovered the entire hologram messages in the star earrings that Jem has. So they have to break into Starlight Studios to get it. So rather than, just walk in because she's their biggest name and he's son of the owner, they disguise themselves to sneak inside. Did you hear that door slam, Fred? No.
That works.
How about that talking, Fred? No. Not even the trunk closing, Fred?
Look, it's Jem and the Holograms. I've blocked out all visuals and sounds during this.
I hear you, Fred.
Well, if you do, you're not doing it right.
This leads to yet another YouTube video that in no way connects to anything. I don't get it. I really don't get it.
Did they just put Rob Scallon in this piece of shit movie?
Rob Scallon?
I fucking hate this movie even more now.
What is he doing in this? This is weird. I'm giving him a call.
Did they even ask? Yeah. Did they even ask his permission?
Scallon, why didn't you ever tell me you were in Jem and the Holograms?
Look, remember when I told you I did some movies in the past that I wasn't very proud of?
Oh my god, I thought you were just talking about porn.
No. It was Jem.
I had no idea.
It was hard times. And I let people use me in a way that, well, I might never feel clean again.
You poor man, Rob.
Be safe.
Oh yeah, I used protection. I had a lawyer look over the contract.
Oh good, here's so many things going around.
Just know that even though I've been through a lot, and you may never look at me the same way again, I'm still the same man I was before.
Wait a minute, are you playing your own sad music to manipulate me?
Gotta go.
Yes!
At least that scene made this movie worth it. It made this video worth sitting through. So.
That was awesome! Dude, I'm so glad that Doug and Rob are Rob Scallon are such good friends that they make shit like that.
That's awesome.
That's freaking cool. Are you playing your own sad music underneath this? Gotta go. Thank you, Rob. You made this review. You've actually washed the bad taste out of my mouth over this.
Indeed.
It actually works!
Nolan,
that was a good palate cleanser.
What are we doing? Not in the film or the story, just what are we doing as a species? What kind of mental illness was going on through the writer's mind? The only way this would be okay is if the writer was like,
and then they had to figure out how to get inside.
so they used a squirrel. Anyway. But it's okay, because they just walked past the guards with no problem anyway. So this entire break-in was all pointless.
My daughter would kill me if I didn't get an autograph. If she says it's to me, let it go.
Really?
Yeah, her words, not
from
mine.
Frozen?
Yeah.
One of the many lies this movie's been telling you. Yeah. They put the final piece in synergy and... Yeah, you sure your dad didn't return to his home planet?
When I found out how little time I had left, I knew I needed to leave you something.
Not instructions on how to patent the artificial life I created, but rather a scavenger hunt that hopefully you had way too much time on your hands to complete.
To try to teach you the lessons that I most wanted to pass on.
Lessons on how to find random shit and sort out simple clues. Seriously, an episode Scooby-Doo could have done that.
I wish I could be there with you. And in my heart, you'll always be my gem. I love you, Jerica.
I love you too, Dad.
Oh, and tell your sister she's cool too, I guess. Yeah. Kind of screwing Kimbrough over on all of this, isn't he? This isn't just playing favorites, this is putting together a league of screw you.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Kimbrough wasn't in the room when he completely forgets her existence, and Jem wraps up her quote-unquote confession.
I promised you the truth and a confession of who I really am.
Yeah, I was shocked this girl rock star was a girl rock star. Wait, what am I supposed to learn? So this 2-hour confession that apparently her bandmates were just listening quietly to the whole time gets deleted and is never shown to a solitary soul. Not that I don't wish everything in this film could be erased, but what was the point of all that? Instead, she goes on stage to pretty much just say the exact same thing except shorter and dressed like Data from First Contact.
Gem is anybody who has something that they want to express, and they need the courage to let themselves be heard.
Yes, share that message about being yourself in a film that clearly has nothing to do with Jem. On top of that, Rio discovers his father's will. Yeah, guess he died of that fatal just-be-dead-tosis as Jem's dad. And it turns out he left him the company. So Erica is out.
Remove Miss Raymond from the concert immediately.
That'll teach you for making us famous, bitch! So, what's the first thing he's gonna do now that the girls have agreed to make decisions together and always be equal? Totally rename the band without consulting them.
What would they like to call the band?
How about Jem and the Holograms?
I figure it matches their flaky, see-through, almost invisible personalities. But after the movie's credits, Erica plots her revenge and goes to a band called the Misfits. You wish. No, this is the rival band that always hated Jem. One of the few things they spontaneously out of nowhere wanted to make very similar to the cartoon.
Destroy Jem.
Our songs are better. We're gonna get her.
Why don't you go ahead and join Azula in Last Airbender 2? I'm sure you'll have plenty of time to talk about things. But even then, there's one more thing to talk about. I want to save until the end because it's a pretty big deal. You're probably wondering, outside of giving us an insultingly weak story and characters, explaining how to not be a corporate sellout while being one of the biggest corporate sellouts of all time, and having virtually nothing to do with the show whatsoever, how can they possibly insult the fans even further? Well, you see, the makers of this movie actually offered the fans a chance to be in the movie. All they have to do is film themselves saying how much they love Jem the cartoon.
Tell us what you love about Jem. You can even post pictures of you dressed up as her. Whatever it is, we want to see and hear your passion for the original Jem.
Good idea, get the buzz going, maybe play it in the end credits or something. But that's not what they do. They take the footage of the fans saying how much they love the cartoon, and they edit it to look like they're talking about the Jem from the movie. A movie nobody had seen by that point and has little to do with the show they love. But now, it looks like they're praising the hell out of it.
I struggled with my ideas of beauty. She stands out in a very humble way.
Jem inspired me.
I just want to say thank you for that.
Wow, that is low. Oh,
that's
you
pretty
like the
fucked
cartoon?
up.
You think she's truly outrageous? Well, this is what you were talking about the whole time. Yeah, this is Jem. You said it.
He basically taught me that it's okay to be who you are and not to be afraid.
I'm not invisible, that I have a voice.
Oh, you felt a strong emotional bond? Well, it's not the cartoon, it's this Jem. This is emotional bond for. This is like asking people to make videos saying why they love Star Wars and then suddenly editing it to make it look like you're talking about the Phantom Menace. It's not just cruel, it's a slap in the friggin' face. What makes it even funnier is how lazy it is. Not only do they have the text of the cartoon all over their stuff, not only are they dressed up like the cartoon characters and not the movie, but you can see the cartoon playing in the background. Yeah, they just left that in. It's so clear what they're talking about. How amazingly lazy can you get? People,
that's a fair
that didn't
response.
Watch Jem growing up and only kind of saw it once in a while in passing. Even I can say, this movie's an insult. It goes out of its way to piss you off in every conceivable fashion. It doesn't work as a standalone film. It doesn't work as an adaptation. The choices make no sense. And it does everything in its power to make sure the fans will hate it. Look,
dude, I'm not even a fan, like I said, of the original cartoon. I still hate it.
That only existed to sell toys. I had mine, you had yours, and that's
makes
fine.
everyone hate it.
There's a definite audience that grew up with this. And while I know there has to be changes when adapting a show to film, there is absolutely no respect and no love for any of the people that grew up with it. Say what you want about Transformers, but it had Transformers. This has no Jem. And they're strangely proud of that. Well, I admit it is kind of funny just what a reckless sellout it is. It does cross a sort of line when it's taking fans of the show and manipulating their footage to represent something that they know they're gonna hate. It not only feels forced and stupid, it just feels wrong. And I can see now why you're trying to make my movie look like Jem the cartoon. It's a win back all the fans that you lost.
Shut your non-studio sanctioned mouth, critic. Yes, we've destroyed much bigger franchises than yours.
Oh yeah? Who you gonna get to replace me? Tam's excitement. Ooh,
oh,
Tam.
no.
She's flashy and things like that. Fashion glitter.
Hey guys, this wig kind of itches.
Malk's excitement. Ooh, Malk. He's flashy and things like that.
Did we learn anything at all?
I hope not.
Oh my god. Here's the thing. I was actually a fan of John M. Chu, the guy who directed this film.
Mm-hmm.
He actually made the Step Up movies watchable. The ones that he directed were the best of the franchise. And he also moved on and did other things. Let's see, actually, I think the movie after this, let me look real quick. Okay, so okay, yeah. So he did, oh god, I didn't know he did. He did two of them. Two of them. He did 2 Justin Bieber concert. Why you do this, John? Why you treat me like this? Of course, he rebounded right after it with Now You See Me Too, Crazy Rich Asians. I will say this, Crazy Rich Asians is a good film. It's actually a very, very funny film. As for In the Heights, which is his newest film coming up, oh, that's based on the Broadway musical. Okay, In the Heights. Interesting. Okay. But still, though, I think, okay. Every good director has a shit bomb that they really wish that that didn't exist. David Fincher has Alien 3. Spielberg has, what's that stupid movie? I forget. Robert Altman had Popeye, which it's fucking Popeye. And, oh god. And Stanley Kubrick had Eyes Wide Shut, which, to be fair, he died during production, so can't really be considered a bad film. Especially on Kubrick's part. But this...
It just makes me wonder what goes through people's heads. Like, What did they do? Did they sign a contract before they read the fucking script?
Maybe.
Like,
I don't know.
did they just see the name as like, oh, we're making a Jim and the Holograms movie, and they're like, oh shit, that'll make money.
No, you know the interesting thing about this film, John M. Chu was not only the director, but also the producer. This was all him.
So he also threw all his money at it.
He threw $5 million worth of his money at it. Yes.
So.
And dig this as well, if you will. I think maybe this was a passion project of his. I'm not sure. There's one film I've seen, well, partially seen, was a passion project of a certain director. That director was Zack Snyder, and that film was Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch is arguably one of the worst films I've ever witnessed.
That's really funny.
I hate that film.
I actually like Sucker Punch a lot.
Oh my god, dude. Look, the visuals are awesome. I'm never going to downplay Zack Snyder's ability to set up a shot and do it. But in terms of telling a coherent story, it's like he was trying to tell an anime storyline, and all of a sudden he was just like, oh wait, I want to switch plot lines. Oh wait, no, I want to switch plot lines. Oh wait, no, I want to switch plot lines. And he just couldn't make up his mind on what he wanted to do. Visually, the film is arresting. It makes you want to watch it because of how visually stunning it is. But at the same time, there's no coherency. In which maybe that's what he was going for. But at the same time, if there's no coherency, then don't be pissed off when people don't understand what the fuck you're trying to say by having a bunch of cute girls slaying shit in a fictional world that they've dreamed up.
I don't know. I kind of understood it weirdly.
Yeah,
but
it's fine. To everyone has their guilty pleasures. I have mine and you have yours. My guilty pleasure is...
Was like, I understand it's like not like an amazing movie, but like when I watched it, I was like, that was pretty cool actually. Like I kind of like that.
I watched it. I was about halfway through with it, and I'm like, I can't. And then I actually.
I sponsored you on that one because I actually watched it in theaters twice. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go back and see it again. I got nothing better to do. It was pretty cool.
Jesus. I went back and watched the rest of it, but for free. And I was no more impressed with it.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I mean, hell, I thought the theatrical version of Phantom of the Opera was good, even though a lot of people don't like it. Oh well. My whole thing is just the potential of this. The potential of this versus what we got, versus the outcome.
I don't know if you can really call it potential whenever, like, something has to have energy to start with to build off of.
Well,
whenever like they started from a dead stop and just left it there basically on terms of what they should have been doing with it.
Well, no, because you see, Jim and the Holograms back in the 80s was actually a fairly popular show, and it's a cult classic.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like the moment they made the decision to make a movie that used a name but had nothing to do with the original thing.
Oh.
That's exactly what Uwe Boll does to video game
Well,
things.
yeah, but...
He pastes a video game name on some random fucking script he wrote, and it has nothing to do with that game whatsoever, and then calls that game, and he just uses that name entirely to draw in ignorant morons that didn't read who the fuck directed it first, that will haphazardly wander into the theater being like, oh shit, they made a movie about that Walking Dead light gun game. I like that game. I'm going to check that out. And then they come out being like, I feel like I have been violated mentally.
Yeah.
It's he has raped my brain with this atrocity.
Well, what I actually meant was potential as a starting point. You see, every Uwe Boll film that has come out, conceptually, could have been something great.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's a great video game property, then it may very well... Because personally, I believe video games may very well be the next step, the next Hollywood, buying game comic books were in the 2000s and 2010s. I think here in the next 10 to 15 years, video game movies are actually going to take off.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
think. I don't know. I think.
We'll see what happens.
No, I don't. I think all it will take is one good adaptation, one decent adaptation, much like how the comic book craze started with X-Men. I think it will take at least one or two good films. It's like someone being serious about it. Like James Wan. Okay, say James Wan actually goes, takes over the Resident Evil series as a producer and as a writer, and changes it into something bankable. Not just bankable, but very, very critically well received. Imagine him doing that. Doesn't have to get like 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, get like an 83 or an 84. Sort of like how Deadpool did.
One of the reasons that I don't think it's going to be nearly as easy for video games to become mainstream as it was for comics is kind of the same reason that... Like, how do I explain this correctly? Comics are non-moving, non-animated artwork. And the things that you are seeing in the comics, wherever there's no motion, no sound, etc., you're filling in the blanks yourself in your brain. So whatever you fill in can be fucking epic. It's not hard to improve on filling in those blanks whenever you bring it to an animated medium with sound, right? Video games already have animation and sound that is killer. So making something that stands up to that and doesn't look fucking weird, like live action, like... That's a little bit more difficult because you end up getting fucking goofy, shittily animated CG stuff.
It is because
like if you take Devil May Cry and put it in like a live action setting, right? Because I was thinking it's like maybe not Resident Evil because they've already fucked it. What if they did like Devil May Cry, like But think of all the fantastic things in Devil May Cry that they would have to fucking nail for that movie to not be fucking goofy.
Well, yeah, it's just like
it would be difficult.
It's just like comic book movies, dude. People often forget how goofy comic book movies used to be.
Well, yeah, when they started out,
and then we went through the dark age of comic books, where every hero had to be dark and broody. And now we're.
I'm just trying to imagine, like, if Disney made like a Devil May Cry movie and had that production value on it and everything, I still feel like it would be a little goofy.
Well,
but that's just me, I guess.
And you know what? Looking at it from a point of view where it doesn't exist, yeah, we can imagine all the outcomes, and you can imagine it being goofy. I can see the very, very same thing, but also at the same time, I see how I saw the original Captain America movie that came out, how goofy and campy and shitty it was, and then I flashed forward to Winter Soldier and Civil War, and I'm like, damn. They actually turned Captain America into not only a viable hero, but a true figure of the American ideology, even though he's going against America, the American government. That to me it would have been very difficult to pull. Was a very difficult idea to pull off, but they did it.
Yeah.
You see,
I just feel like it's like as compared to like the original, it's always going to be very hard to do that original video game justice as compared to like an original comic book.
Well, that's why I think it will take time. Just like how for instance, if I had to put together a crew to put together the best video game adaptation that I could think of, the best video game adaptation to be brought to the big screen in all of its glory, I would have the Russo brothers directing. No doubt in my mind. I would probably have, I'd just probably bring back Marcus and McFeely from the Avengers movies. Have them, because they know their homework. They do their homework whenever it comes to stuff like that. And from what I understand, they're both huge video game fans. They like to play video games. So I would give them free reign and be like, okay, what property do you all want to option the rights to make into a film? And I would purchase the rights of what they said. And I would let them follow through with it. And thus, I would try to start the the next big phase for films by having directors take video games more seriously. And thus, when video games are taken more seriously, they're more respected in the modern day lexicon, and more people play them, and more people have and more people have legit criticisms about them, and the medium gets better. Because that's what's happened in the comic book industry. For the longest time, the comic book industry was suffering from low sales because Marvel was trying to push for the last 10 years a very uninteresting, a very bland character as their new flagship, because they wanted to appear to be, you know, marching towards the future with progressivism, with Captain Marvel. And lo and behold, the very moment Captain Marvel actually gets a little bit more personality to her from the modern day revolution with comic books and everything, not only does Captain Marvel become a more interesting character, but holy shit, their sales go up. And not only that, but independent comic book companies are popping up all over the place because you have disenfranchised Marvel and DC workers wanting to do their own thing. And thus, we have all of these extra comic book properties that are springing up out of nowhere. I think the exact same thing could happen with video games, and eventually, maybe, I'm not saying it will, but video games will be taken more seriously, and we may eventually get... Because here's the thing, gamers will always have the stigma. They still do, man. They still have this stigma that they're not a serious art form. That, I mean...
Which if you ever played through a complete video game, you know it's just complete bullshit.
Yeah, I know. For instance, play through the Witcher series. Or hell, you don't even have to do that. Play through... What was that one game you had? With
basically pick a game that has like decent reviews, play through it, and then still fucking seriously say that. Because you're full of shit if you can still say that after you do that. Uncharted, Resident Evil, Devil May Cry, fucking Witcher, obviously. Like Metal Gear Solid. Yeah. Metal Gear fucking Solid.
Yeah, and you tell me those aren't artistic...
Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Bloodborne, Sekiro.
You tell me that those are not artistic
You cannot seriously say that those are not works of art because you're fucking lying.
No, but because it's of the lower class standard. You see, it's just like that kid, I know it's a bit of a pet peeve for you, but that kid that won $3 million playing Fortnite. And then all of a sudden, no, I know. But still, all of these people come out of the woodwork and say, you made $3 million by pressing buttons. Oh, yeah, you see, this is the problem with people today. You know, they're contributing to this art form that doesn't matter. Video games are not art. And I'm like, that's like Meryl Streep coming up on stage and saying that mixed martial arts is not arts. Fuck you, you fucking jaded old bitch. Gonna tell me that seeing John Bones Jones do one of his high kicks isn't a work of art? Seeing the Diaz brothers break people down piece by piece, bit by bit, all because of how freakish their resilience is? When you see wars go on, like Robbie Lawler and fucking and Rory McDonald or Carlos Condit go on, you're going to sit there and tell me that that's not art? To you, it isn't. To me, it's like Da Vinci painting the Mona Lisa. I don't care what anyone says. What people see as art is their own. And if you don't have respect for it, then I have no respect for you. I have respect for pretty much any art out there. I mean, I even give respect to furries because certain furries make their own suits and are artistically inclined in some way that makes their work their own. I don't bash people until they get pretentious and they feel like, oh, our art is superior because we have awards and we have guilds and we have this and that. Go fuck yourself. You don't need an actors guild to be an actor. You don't need a producers guild to be a producer. You don't need a writers guild to be a writer, and you don't need a directors guild to be a director. Anyone out there, great talent can come from anywhere on this planet, and you are wanting to pretend that you are somehow in this sarcophagus of perfection that can never be penetrated or ever be thrown apart. But guess what? That's not the case. That is not the case in the slightest. Everyone out there has the opportunity to do great things. And whether or not you turn your nose up at them because it's not the kind of art that you're into or the kind of art that you consider true art, I can't wait until 50 years from now and thinking like yours is ancient, archaic, and extinct. I'm sorry. I had moments like that where I lose my cool. I'm sorry about that.
It's cool.
So, yeah.
But, we have to do shit early in the morning tomorrow, so.
Yes, we do. So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of certain ages, we have to get out of here before too long. But we hope you've enjoyed what you've seen here. This was the Nostalgia Critic, Jim, and the Holograms. We hope to see you very soon. And until next time, signing off, I'm Nate.
I'm Nick.
We will see you then. Peace out.